welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast. This is Dianne, the lactation consultant.
And I'm Abby, the badass breastfeeder. I don't know why I said it like that.
You know what? Sometimes I feel like I'm like, oh, like I'm so sing-songy about the whole thing. I am here.
I don't have to. I can just talk normal. I don't have to do that with it.
Oh, my God. I have our review of the week.
Awesome.
And it says, thank you. This podcast came at the perfect time for me. I finally gave up on trying to sleep train my baby. The first night we co-slept the whole night, and I nursed her. We both got the best sleep in 4 months. This episode just validated what I was feeling and gave me so much confidence that my instincts were right. Thank you, ladies, so much. This is obviously about the sleep, the one about sleep. And this is from OK Ducray. And
I love the names.
I know, they're so fun. And we really like some of these episodes. If it like hits a nerve with you, don't, let us know. Let us know if it really helped you, because we would love to know about that.
Well, yeah, and I mean, all of the episodes come from questions that we get, concerns, especially repeated concerns. When we see so many themes in what people are concerned about. And we have exactly another one of those today.
Yes. And you know what? We're not going to lie. Sometimes people will say something to us and it'll make us so angry that there is such crazy information out there that we're just like, we are doing a podcast on this now. Like, we'll just get so mad about stuff. Because sometimes it's like, oh my gosh. Oh my God. Like I'm totally on a tangent, but I saw a mom the other day who told me that she had to go back for a procedure. Baby was 2 weeks old. They put her under general anesthesia and then told her she had to pump and dump her milk for 24 hours. Now, I know this episode is absolutely not about that, but I was like, are you kidding me? And she goes, well, I didn't know because I'm a first-time mom. And I said, no, it's not you. I said,
no, I mean, of course you believe the doctor. Right. The doctor is the one who's supposed to know.
I said, so I can't believe some of this information is still being circulated. That's what I can't believe. Mm-hmm. So this is what we're trying to get away from.
We're fighting back against this.
Yes.
This is our own little resistance right here.
This is how we fight against.
And another thing that there's a lot of misinformation about, and that also comes from doctors, the people that you trust, is breastfeeding at night.
Doctors and your family.
Yes.
Really, anybody that knows about it will tell you something.
Right. Yes. I remember when I took Jack, my first son, to a pediatrician that we don't see anymore. She said, they ask all these questions, right? When you go there, they ask you they've got their questionnaire there. And she said, how long does he sleep at night? And I'm like, I don't know, what's the longest he's ever slept? Oh God, maybe 2 hours. And she looked at me, stunned. And she was like, I don't understand that. He should be sleeping 10 to 12 hours a night now.
How old was he?
He was 3 months.
Oh, come on.
I still cannot to this day believe that person said that to me. 10 to 12 hours. How on earth would he be able to do that?
But didn't that make you feel like you were doing something wrong?
Well, yeah, because then here comes all the question that I had and the question that I get all the time. All the time. My baby breastfeeds all night long, wakes up to breastfeed constantly, sometimes every 30, 45 minutes. Sometimes the baby never unlatches from my boob the whole entire night. What is wrong with her? Mm-hmm. Okay, here's the thing. Nothing is wrong with your baby. That is normal. 10 to 12 hours, not normal. And when I say not normal, I mean not what we would expect to see.
Right.
I feel like with nighttime stuff, with nighttime breastfeeding, like what you see, like you can take the entire spectrum of what you see and it's all normal. The baby that is constantly latched on through the entire night, normal. Baby who actually sleeps a few hours at a time, wouldn't that be great? Totally normal.
Yeah, right? Right? I mean, And everybody, like, the other thing is every baby is different, and you can't throw that blanket statement on, oh, this is what should be happening with your baby right this minute. And if not, something's wrong with their brain. So it's all over. You know, like.
Right.
I'm glad you tried to be a mom for 3 months. You screwed it up. Your baby isn't sleeping. Now, like, it's over. It's not. And, like, I do have people that think that if their baby's not sleeping regularly like that, then their brain isn't going to develop.
Right.
And I don't know where that came from, but I don't know. That's out there somewhere on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, their brain is developing the most when they're latched onto your boob.
You know, they are definitely sleeping. Nobody can force you to sleep. So your baby's going to sleep. They're going to do what their body tells them to do.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember early with Jack, like, I would, like, because we were, like, you know, very early on, the doctor was like, never put him in your bed. And, you know, my mom was like, I co-slept with you. And I was like, oh, my God, you're such a bad mom. And, you know, and I would, like, you know, I'd be nursing him to sleep because then I was like, oh, you know, I could tell that was, like, what made him sleepy. And then I would put him down and, like, within a minute, he'd be awake. And I'm like, oh, my God, what is wrong with this baby? He's supposed to be sleeping. And, you know, okay, after all this, you know, after a lot of reading and a lot of learning, I said, oh, okay, actually he sleeps better when he's on me and latched on, and there's nothing wrong with him. That's actually totally biologically normal. And by the way, it might help me sleep too if I just also laid down next to him while he is latched on and slept. You can also see, here's a little hashtag or parentheses, see our episode on co-sleeping.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's, you know, so a little bit of science, right, Diane, of the breast milk. Mm-hmm. Breast milk, they digest breast milk very quickly.
Yes,
so they're going to be eating very frequently. And
yes, they do.
This is all kind of set up. They're wired to do this, right? To not go into these deep sleeps, to not be sleeping extraordinarily long periods of time, to keep their bodies and their brains at these lighter levels of sleep that they're going in and out of, in and out, in and out all night. And that's normal and for a reason.
Yes. And I try to, like, especially like in that newborn period. Well, and when I say newborn, I mean like the first month or two.
Right.
Where they are up every couple hours
or more.
And they have it, like, people have it in their heads, you know, new families and people that haven't been a parent for a long time. I still stick by the theory that if it has been 30 years since you have birthed a child, you probably forgot that you were up every 20 minutes. Like, I cannot tell you how many times somebody says to me, my mom said I slept the whole night when I got home from the hospital. And wants to know the baby must not be getting enough because they're up every 20 minutes wanting to eat, or I'm feeding them every 2 hours. I'm like, your mother doesn't remember. Like, or they just put you in a room and that was it, like that, because that's what they did sometimes. Is they just you went in one room, your baby went in the other room, and see you in the morning. Like, that's just how it was. Right. But that's not how it's supposed to be. And babies are, you know, their stomach is really small, and that is their stomach is small. Like, I don't know how else to say that. Their stomach is really small, and the breast milk digests really easily.
Like a walnut, people. Like, literally. Like, there's one of those, I talk about memes a lot, and memes that I hate, but one of the memes that I love is, like, they have, like, a thing of, like, your baby's stomach at the different, you know, at like 1 week and then 4 weeks and, like, whatever. And it literally starts with, like, what, a nut?
Right. Like, not, like a teaspoon, like a little,
like a half of a ping pong ball it grows up to.
So to try and think in your head, if I stuff them full of food, they're going to sleep longer. There's only so much food you can stuff them with. Like, their stomach is not that big. So, like, logically, let's think about this logically. And I know sometimes we don't want it. We're not thinking logically because we're sleep deprived. So it's kind of this downward spiral that doesn't really.
Well, and it's scary. New parenthood is scary.
It is. Absolutely. And you just want to get a couple of hours of sleep in a row. Like,
you just want to sleep.
Right. And it's really, like, I remember, oh my God, it was like having a mom. It was when I worked for one of one of the community programs that I worked for. And it was like a young teen mom that was like all of a sudden complaining that she had to get up during the night and feed the baby. And I'm like, you were at the club 3 months ago at this time of night. Like, don't even tell me that you're. She's like, yeah, probably. But it's like, but we're not. It's just a different.
It's so much harder, though.
It is.
It's
like
really much harder than clubbing, I can tell you.
It is a different feeling of exhaustion, and it's just like, it's hard. But your baby will get past it. But this is just it is just what it is. Like, it just is what it is.
So let's
can't make them digest any slower. You can't.
No. And you all probably know somebody who knows somebody where their baby was sleeping 6 hours a night, from the moment they got home. Why does that baby do that and your baby not? We don't know.
Different personalities.
We don't know. They're just different.
They're different.
Your baby doesn't, they're not, neither one of my kids did that. That's not that's not exactly what you would expect to see. And this is another question that I think goes along with this that I'm sure you get a lot too, is how long is too long really early on? Do you ever wake up a baby because they've been sleeping too long?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And people don't like that either. Nobody wants to hear
but
that.
I think that but I think that you would, especially in like those early days, you're going to be sitting there staring at the sleeping baby wondering if they've been sleeping too long. So let's just tell the people, how long is too long? At what age do you wake them up? At what point can you stop? That kind of thing.
So for the first, I would say 2 to 3 weeks of their life, you want to wake them. Do not let them sleep past like 4 to 5 hours. Probably won't happen. But if it is a baby that you bring home from the hospital and they're, a little bit jaundice makes a baby sleepy. And they might be, like, jaundice is one of those things where it's like, okay, they're not at the level where it needs to be treated, but they're still sleepy from it. And they might not wake up. They're not going to wake up to feed. Babies in those first 2 weeks, very rarely will they wake themselves to feed because they don't know what hunger feels like. They're not like, oh yeah, that sensation, I'm hungry, let me go. Like they're not registering that yet. This is all new. They have to learn all of these sensations. So they are not realizing, okay, it's time to get up and eat now. And if they're jaundiced, they're really going to be sleepy and just like, they'll sleep 6-7 hours. And I've had families come in that were like, oh yeah, the baby slept all like 7 hours last night, didn't even get up to eat, and I just let him sleep because that's what I was told to do, and da-da-da. It's like, and now that baby's not gaining weight because now they missed like 3 feeds. So in the beginning, in those first 2 weeks or so, we want to make sure the baby is eating pretty frequently, pretty regularly. If you're back to birth weight, you're at like 2-3 weeks, the baby's feeding well, I would say whatever at that point, like if they're sleeping,
then you're good to go.
They're fine. Yeah.
Open highway.
Right. But in the beginning too, like in the hospital, you are waking your baby up. And
everybody else is. And if you're not, everyone else is.
Right. And that I find to be like the hospital, I find to be sometimes deceiving because the hospitals often, at least where I am, they'll say, feed your baby every 3 hours, feed your baby every 3 hours. So now people have it in their head, feed every 3 hours, feed every 3 hours, feed every 3 hours, because your baby is so sleepy in the hospital because, birth. So now you go home and they're like starting to wake up and starting to adapt to the world and they want their mom and they're realizing that they're hungry and they get, 2-3 weeks in and your baby wants to eat every hour and a half. And the mother is going, they said every 3 hours in the hospital. I must not have enough milk. What's happening here? I don't understand why the baby's feeding so often. Why is the baby feeding every 2 hours? This is crazy. No, this is normal.
This is normal. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with your child. Actually, you're going to have a fantastic milk supply.
Right.
They latch them on all night. Oh, man, that milk is going to flow out of you. And you might still think you have a milk supply problem, but you probably don't. No. And they're just going to be there all super happy. And that's normal. Mm-hmm. And you're not doing anything wrong. Now people will say, well, how do I get them to nurse less? Well, you don't right now. Right. You don't. But later, breastfeeding on demand early on is really important. Later, we can talk about boundaries. but not right now.
No, not right now. And I'm trying to, like, with you, God, if you think about it, like, at what point do you ever want your child to not eat? You know,
no,
like,
right, exactly, right. Well, and I think sometimes, but sometimes too, I think the thing is, people think, well, he already ate. I can tell he's not really eating. He's just kind of hanging there, suckling.
Yeah,
well,
that's boundaries.
That's keeping him asleep.
Right.
You know, and if you try to stop that, they're going to wake up and you're going to have a whole host of annoying problems at 2:00 in the morning. You know, and, you know, right. I think that my most passionate tip to you is to go to our website, badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com, click on the resources page, and there's the safe co-sleeping guidelines, and look through those and set yourself up a nice, comfy co-sleeping situation so that you do not have to get up a million times during the night and go down the stairs or go down the hallway or go wherever you're going. And, you know, you can... The research shows that it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it. Nothing feels like enough sleep. But the research shows that co-sleeping parents get more sleep. And we're not talking like 9 hours more sleep, but we're talking about like a little bit more sleep because you're not walking around the house.
No. And breastfeeding mothers also get more sleep. Breastfed babies get more sleep.
Exactly. Yes. Everybody gets more
elements
sleep
to your milk that help your baby sleep better. So
your partner will get more sleep too, although we don't care about them.
We don't care about them. Yeah. They don't count.
Because we all know that they're so soundly sleeping. You know.
But what I don't understand, and I think the longer I do this job, the more I do this, the more we talk about it on the podcast, the more I see society. I'm like, I don't understand, why are we trying to do something that is making everybody miserable? You know, I have so many moms that are like, I'm trying to like not breastfeed through the night, or I'm trying to, when do I start to wean through the night? When do I do this? Why is the baby eating during the night? I'm trying to stretch it out. And it's like, if they are screaming their heads off and you're just, you know, why are we trying to force something that is not supposed to be happening?
Yeah, I do think that it's reminding me of this fantastic article that I read one time, and I don't know where in the world I'll be able to find it, but I will try. And it was about Western society's obsession with sleep. And it was talked about like different cultures and like how sleep is cultural. And, you know, and we in the Western world, we have this obsession with sleep and with schedules, which I truly believe comes from the 40-hour work week. You know, we set this in, and now everything is revolving around this, and we got to have our schedules, we got to have our sleep between this time and that time. And if you look at some other cultures, they don't sleep like that. They're more of like a napping culture where they sleep maybe less at night, maybe take a couple naps during the day. They sleep when they're tired. It's more of a kind of around the clock kind of thing. And these are the cultures where there's not this complete obsession with schedules.
Right.
And I will try to find it, and I'll put it on the website. But that reminded me of that.
You know, and I worked with a girl when I was working for WIC, one of the peer counselors that I had with me. She was fantastic, and she was a night owl. It's just like how she was, you know, like she was a stay-at-home mom with her kids, but she worked, you know, for the peer counselor program, so she made her own hours, and she was just a night owl. And her daughter, who was, I think, 2 or 3 at the time and still breastfeeding, she just kept her daughter at the same hours that she was at. You know, like that's just how they lived.
They're going to do whatever you do.
Right. So she was just like, and the judgment that she got, because her daughter would go to bed at 2 a.m. with her and then sleep until, you know, however late they would sleep, because that was just their routine. And she's like, people think I'm the worst mom in the world because my daughter stays up until 1 a.m. She's like, but that's when I go to bed. So that's when she goes to bed with me. And it was just like, it was such a different concept to people that they just judged it as, that's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's okay to let your baby to sleep when they are ready to sleep and are sleepy. And to, you know, you don't have to, especially in those early days and weeks and months, it's going to be, you're not going to have a schedule like that. You're just not. You could try to force your baby into that schedule, and it's not going to work because they just don't operate like that.
They don't. No, they don't.
And I don't like to be the bearer of bad news, but I have some. I breastfed my children. I've said this a million times, but Jack was 6.5 when he weaned, and Exley is pretending to wean and then pretending not to sometimes. He is 4.5. And I mean, both of my kids did that until like 3.5 years old. And I don't mean staying latched on the entire night. That eventually it got less and less and less, but they would still at that age wake up to nurse in the night. And sometimes would just want to be latched on for like a long period of time. And like once they were a little bit older, I would do certain things. Like I would say, okay, 1 more minute, and then I'm going to put my arm around you. And I would kind of like snuggle them. And then after a minute, I would be like, okay, I'm going to put my arm around you now. And after doing that for like a year, they would finally like kind of get the idea, like, okay. And then they would unlatch and like fall asleep. But that's like older, way older. Way older.
Yeah.
If you're, and if you're, because if people do this, if your baby is breastfeeding, there's no such thing as breastfeeding too much. Now, we did talk about in our last episode, the spitting up episode, we did talk about overfeeding a little bit, but your baby can't breastfeed too much at night. There's not going to be this thing where, this is like a little bit off. Your baby's breastfeeding too much at night. That's not a thing.
Would
you agree, Diane?
I do. But what I think we see more, which is usually the issue with society, is that it's not even necessarily that they're feeding. It's more of maybe they woke up, they can't go back to sleep. They want that comfort of being latched. They want that closeness. They want that warmth. And that is what they're doing. So that is why a lot of times you hear people say, well, I don't think they're really eating. They just latched on. They're latched on all the time. No, they're not eating all night long. So this is going to form a habit, and now the baby's not learning how to be asleep on their own. The baby's not learning how to soothe on their own. Like that whole thing. And
self-soothing is a total myth.
Oh, my gosh.
There's also, so I'm really excited because I just put a ton of links on our website.
Ooh.
But one of the links I did put on there was a blog post by a guest blogger on my blog, and it was... I can't think of the title right now because I feel like I'm on the spot and I don't want to take up too much time. But it was something about like sleeping through the night or sleeping, breastfeeding at night, and then self-soothing and other myths. And so it was it's just talking about this exact thing. So you might enjoy that too. Just look for self-soothing and other myths. It's like not a thing.
Baby, they wait till your kid. And for people that say, oh yeah, I want them to learn how to go to sleep on their own. Blah 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 blah. You know what I tell people? I'm like, I got more sleep when my babies were before they were a year between like a year, between birth and 2 years. Because once they were mobile and out of a crib, forget it. Then they were like walking around the house. They're coming into my room. They're, mom, I can't sleep. Like, I don't care. That's going to happen. Like, it just does.
No, this is actually at 5 o'clock in the morning every day. Mommy, I want to get up. Can we get up? Can I get up, Mommy? And then I got to rush him out of the room because we all sleep in the same bed, all 4 of us. Yeah. And so I got to rush him out, or otherwise he's going to wake up the whole entire house.
Right.
Meaning Jack, because I don't want him to wake up Jack. I kind of want him to wake up my husband because I kind of want him to get up with him and not me.
Yeah.
But then he'll have this, oh my God, it's true.
Yeah, that's what they're going to be doing.
It's always, I remember being on a road trip with Jack, with the whole family, but I was nursing Jack to sleep in a hotel room. He was like 5 or 6. And he said to me, I can't wait until I can go to sleep on my own.
Aww.
Like without nursing. And I looked at him and I said, well, you can go to sleep on your own whenever you want. I said, Mommy's been away overnight sometimes, and you've done it. And he just kind of kept nursing himself to sleep. But it was like he started to think he was, they're like older when they're, kind of thinking about these things and being able to do them on their own. And, breastfeeding is so much more than food.
Yeah. I wish people realized the gift they're giving their children. Because
I think people do. I just think they're really tired.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
and scared. Because, again, it's just so scary. It's like this baby is... Nobody told me they were going to do that.
Right.
Nobody told me they were going to do that. Nobody told me that my baby would sleep better if he was on my breast. The first thing the doctor told me was, like, don't put that baby in your bed. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, and if you don't want to put your baby in your bed, fine. You don't have to. But, like, he slept so much. I could see that he was sleeping better when he was latched on. Yeah. And so then I'm confused. I'm like, well, wait a minute. He's not supposed to sleep when he's on me, but then he is sleeping better when he's on me, and I don't get it.
Yeah. And it's like what works is what we're going against. Like what our bodies naturally want, and what as mammals and instinctively what does better for us, we are going against that.
Yep. So there is nothing wrong with your child if they are nursing frequently at night. There is no problem. It's actually extremely healthy, and everybody is totally normal.
Yeah, and they're not going to be doing it forever.
No.
They will not, but it's something right now that they need. And I don't know. I was just like, I don't want to, not, if they need me for something, like, how can you not?
Yeah, and they will. I mean, if you have a child, a baby that's nursing frequently through the night, like Diane said, they're not going to do that for long. That, it seems like it's going to go on forever, but really, the time will pass. They're going to grow really fast, and they will start sleeping for longer stretches. Now, when that starts to happen, do you know what's going to happen? They're going to go back to waking up constantly throughout the night.
Yeah, they do.
And then they'll start sleeping. They're going to go back. They'll go back and forth. There's growth spurts, there's teething, there's all kinds of things that are going to, kind of make it more like a roller coaster ride or the kind of up and down.
Yeah. Like, be proud of it. And I think one of the other parts of it, too, is that people are embarrassed and they don't want to say that they're still nursing their child during the night, and because of the backlash that they might get. But I wish
don't.
Right,
it's no one's business.
It's no one's business, but you should be proud of it. You're nurturing your child.
Absolutely.
Like, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You are responding to your child's needs, and that is what being a mother is. So it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. You should be so proud to be, that's, if you weren't so tired, but it's definitely, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it.
No, you are doing awesome, and we appreciate you listening, and I really hope that you feel better after this.
I know, I do too.
If you were worried, if you were concerned, if you were freaking out, I hope that, that you all realize now that it's normal. And it's annoying. It is, but it's normal.
We'll be the first ones to tell you.
I'm going to be the first one to agree that it's annoying, but it's normal, and it won't go on forever.
No, it won't. You'll make it.
Thank you so much for listening. Yeah. And we would love to hear your experiences in the review section on iTunes, and maybe you'll be our review of the week. And also be sure to head to badassbreastfeedingpodcast.com for sponsor links, for promo codes, for that awesome list of resources that I was talking about, all of our other episodes, and information about how you can schedule your online consultation with Diane.
And contests that might be coming up, too.
Oh, yeah, there's contest information there, too. Yeah, we got to update that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So definitely check it out.
Bye.
Bye.